everybody. My name is Gabrielle Wickfall.
I'm Philip Walia.
And I'm Andrea Piper.
And this is our podcast, Food Additives Going Beyond the Label. Now, when we hear food additives and going beyond the label, let's enlighten the people on what that means, what are food additives, and what do we mean by going beyond the label.
So, food additives are anything that's put into the food, either intentionally or inadvertently, that affects color, texture, shape, size, or any kind of condition such as that.
Okay. And so when I think about food additives, can we elaborate on the certain types of food additives, such as preservatives, color additives? You guys want to include anything in there?
Color additives, humectants, flavor enhancers, honestly, anything except water.
You know what? Speaking of the different types of food additives, if I had to be a food additive, I would be salt. Y'all want to know why? Because it adds flavor. What about you?
I think I would be a sweetener.
Why?
I don't know. I like sugar, but not baked goods. Let me put that out there. Not baked goods.
You're really sweet too, so that's good that you chose sweetener. What about you, Phil?
I would say probably red 40 because I had a bit of color to every situation.
Okay, red 40. Speaking of red 40, when I think about red 40, I think about how these additives are regulated. And when I think about regulations, I think about the FD&C, which is the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act of 1938. And long story short, just to sum it up, the FD&C basically defines food additives based on their intended use. And what I mean is, if a substance or food additive has a history of being generally recognized as safe, which is a status, which was founded under the amendments, the Food Additives Amendments of 1958. And basically, it's just an exemption for GRAS status food additives. And so when I think about the GRAS status for food additives, I think about the red dye number 3, which no longer has GRAS status. Anybody want to expound on that?
I think it was banned from the food additive list entirely. So we can't. It was found to cause cancer in male rats, right?
Wow. Wow.
Now, when something is flagged as a potential carcinogen, it definitely gets into the public eye for a potential. There'll be researchers, independent and commercial, that are going to be looking into it, and that is the first step along the path of being banned. Because a lot of these colors and additives, especially before, like the Additives Amendment in 1958, they just flew under the radar. We've been using them for years, they're probably fine, but once those red flags start being raised, that's when we kind of start cracking down, okay, maybe this wasn't as safe as we thought it was.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you mentioned time, because something can be generally recognized as safe now, but as you said, 20 years, 30 years from now, they may find something contaminated or pollutant in the additive, which makes me recall of the Delaney Clause. Are you guys familiar with the Delaney Clause? It says basically any substance that is found to cause cancer in men or male rats cannot be used as a food additive. So it's great that we have these laws to regulate it, because without food laws, many people or producers, and I'm not trying to make generalized statements, what we have seen in history, I'm going to put it like that because I want to be careful what I say to the audience out there. We have seen in history meat packers or facility food companies intentionally adulterate products. We have also seen in history where the horrors of chambers, also where we had some of these products that were had these food additives that did not have these GRAS statuses. So I don't want to go too far ahead and talk about that, but if there's anything else we want to mention as it relates to food additives, is there anything you all would like to add?
I think so. Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say, with consumers having their own thoughts of, oh, this is what I want to see, and oh, I don't like the way that sounds. You can petition for GRAS status, take it off the GRAS list if you want to do that. Scientific research is coming out. Scientific research is coming out every day that could support your claims. So
That's
just things
right.
like that.
When I also want to piggyback off of the chart we was mentioning that was on the FDA website, the types of food additives, and one of them is the color additive. Guys, I love chicken salad, and in my chicken salad, I like to add sweet relish. When I look on the back of the ingredient list, yellow dye number 5 or yellow number 5 was in that ingredient. So it's great to have the knowledge of what food additives are and how they are regulated. And the fact that they were not going beyond the label and add some type of food additive that does not have GRAS status, which also makes me feel safe.
But on that, other note, because a lot of times these food additives are put in place for more consumer appeal, because when you look into certain processes the food goes through, like heat treatments or blanching, when they're superheating your food for like a short period of time to kill any of the bad germs that are on it, it's going to lose some of its color due to that high temperature steam that it's exposed to. So they're going to add a little bit of color dye to give it that vibrantness back, because nobody's going to want to go to the store and buy like a pale gray or yellow orange juice. They want their orange juice to be nice and vibrant.
Right.
That's why all your Cheetos look the same color,
Yes.
that nice neon orange, and then the reds you see in say your sodas or your popsicles, whatever else. So there's two sides to it.
Yes, it is. Anything from you, Piper? Anything you want to add?
No, just want the general consumer to know that in everyday use, if you're cooking, you are using food additives too. So just general knowledge about what you're putting in your food, what you're consuming. That's all.
Yeah, and to tie it all in, man, look, again, Philip and I don't know if you remember, Piper, but we was having a conversation about the labeling and the ingredients, about the different types of food additives. When I think about Zactam, is it Zactam or Zactin gum? Yes. When I see that, I don't know what that is. But when I see yellow number 5, I know what that is. So yes, to piggyback off what you're saying, yes, we need to know as consumers and educators what we're eating and what we're putting in our body. Yeah. So if there's no further questions, comments, and concerns, this is the end of our podcast, Food Additives Going Beyond the Label. Thank you for tuning in.